Hello, and welcome to Integrating 2D Workflows with 3D BIM Environment, specifically geared towards the AEC market. My name is Raymond Busboom. I'm an industry business consultant here at Dassault Systems. I have going on nearly 25 years of experience in the CAD market. My background in the AEC world is a little bit thin, so I've invited my friend Bertrand to join us. Bertrand, would you take a minute and do an introduction?
Thank you, Raymond, and hello, everyone. I am Bertrand. I work in CATIA portfolio organization, and I produce best practices for architecture, engineering, and construction. I am very happy to be with you today presenting this Draftsight CATIA interactions because it shows very well the value delivered by the free experience platform with different applications working on the same data, and how smooth it can be to work back and forth with a colleague on a building design project. So I let you introduce the topic and I'll be back.
In the AEC space, there's been an incredible push to concentrate all the building disciplines into a common architecture to create a virtual twin of the entire project. This increases the collaboration between multiple stakeholders, the complete digital continuity between disciplines, reduces the rework between these and between phases of construction, and ultimately helps out the design, engineering, and delivery process. But today's presentation isn't one about the perfect world, where all the disciplines and stakeholders are bought into this vision. Today's presentation is what happens when, for a variety of reasons, like contractual obligations, subcontractor expertise, don't allow for the complete 3D virtual twin. How do or how should organizations handle this, and where might Draftsight play a key role in reducing the total cost of software across all the disciplines? We're going to be showing you an example of this exact scenario. Today we are going to team up Draftsight with CATIA's integrated building environment, CATIA's construction solution that provides a single source of truth to enable digital continuity. In addition, integrated buildings also seamlessly integrates the model information with the project management, architects, engineers, designers, marketing, and executive stakeholders. Again, in a perfect world, all of the digital assets can be managed by one system, and all contributors would collaborate on one BIM model. We are going to walk through 4 different examples of potential collaboration points between the 2D world and the 3D model that is being maintained as a virtual twin. The first case is using Draftsight to review existing drawings, regardless of the format, that are provided by the owner or builder. Many times, this is the as-built drawings for a refit or remodel, which according to a recent industry survey happens in about half of all building projects. Unfortunately, it's also the case where the owner-builder doesn't have access to the original source CAD data. This could be due to the previous design architect firm's unwillingness to share, or the company has exchanged hands and the files are no longer available. In these cases, PDF tends to be the format of choice. This is where the batch PDF importer comes into play to convert as much of these designs into CAD data ready to be utilized. Once you have the 2D data, that doesn't always mean you can do something with it. Utilizing the 2D data from disparate systems can be very time-consuming and a hit or miss scenario. This is due to the digital accuracy of 2D drawings not being at the same level as the 3D needs. Things like small gaps between line segments, or where arcs and circles aren't really true and are represented by lines through segmentation, or even duplicate entities that are undetectable in 2D but cause issues when trying to reuse this information in 3D. Alright, the first example that we're going to talk about is really the PDF import. If you have Enterprise Plus or Premium version, you'll go to the Import tab and you'll see PDF as an option. You can import one at a time. In this case, we're going to use batch processing. And then if you notice, we have some options that we can set. So we're going to be using the PDF layers, and I'll show that in just a second. So with batch processing, all you really need to do is select the directory that you want to pull the PDFs from, and then you want to select the directory that you want those drawings to be created in. And we're just going to choose the same directory in this example. So with the batch processing, again, you could have a directory that have only 2 PDFs. Or you can process, a couple hundred PDFs in just a matter of time and letting it kind of choose one, process it, save, and then go on to the next PDF. So we're almost kind of complete with this example project that we're importing. When it finishes up, we're going to go ahead and say, okay, now what do we do with these drawings? Well, if this is a scenario where this is the owner builder information, we need to kind of keep these drawings as is and then make our new project files. So in order to help organize those, we're just going to create a new sheet set. So with the sheet set, we're going to turn on the sheet set manager, go ahead and create a new one. We're just going to kind of give it a name. We're going to do existing files, and we're going to choose that same directory, and then you can kind of see the directories that are importing. If you've never used sheet sets, it's a way to really help organize a lot of drawings into a set. It has some numbering capabilities. You can control properties that could be filtered down in a title box directly from here. You can rename either the drawing or even the layouts directly from here. So it's really kind of an organizational method. In this example, I'm going to create a couple quick subsets in order to further organize this into a tree structure. Again, if you've got multiple designers that are all needing these files, this is taking a little bit of workup time like this is going to help organize all the as-is that you receive from the builder or owner. So as you can see, this is organized now. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up that first drawing. It's going to open up in layout mode. Let's jump over to the model view and see what we got. So when we zoom into a little corner here, you'll notice I do have the entities. Those are just CAD entities that have been imported. The PDF layer option has definitely worked because all the PDF layers have come through. Very common, again, I talked about this, was, if you have overlapping entities. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the discard duplicate command. Now this is a pretty cool command because not only allows it to look at overlapping entities, but if you have lines that are the same but they're disjointed, but they're aligned end to end, you can actually combine them. So we're going to go ahead and say OK to that. And if you notice the command prompt, it's removed 300 duplicates and combined almost over 500 overlapping entities for us. All right, now that we have this kind of cleaned up, we're going to throw it over the wall to Bertrand.
Thank you, Raymond, and hello everyone. What I'm showing now is the generation of the building in 3D. But before starting the geometry, it's important to explain that the data is organized in a logical way under a structure of data. And this is because many other colleagues will participate to this construction, and everyone must clearly know where he stands in the project. And because the simplest is always the best, it's divided into stories like I'm showing now, then slab, walls, etc. Of course, the building is finished already, but I'm showing you how I would continue the modeling from the second level. What you see in blue is the different drawings imported from the architect office and cleaned up on Draftsight. Why is it so important that the drawings are reworked? Is because they are going to be displayed in my 3D environment all together. For example, here all floor plans, and at each level. Of course, I located them in 3D at the proper level, but still, it's going to create a very busy environment of work. And this is why it's so important that the drawings are cleaned up so that they display properly exactly the information that is relevant for the purpose of 3D design. Of course, in CATIA, there are also filtering capabilities to help you do this work. The second reason why I'm so happy that Raymond cleaned up the drawing for me in Draftsight is because I'm going to use a profile to extrude the wall, for example, like I'm doing here. And the 3D geometry, the 3D geometry will inherit from the quality of the profile. So the idea is to control the quality of the generated 3D. And that's why it's important that the drawing is not directly the drawing given by the 2D designer, but really cleaned for the purpose of being reused in 3D. Then I will continue the design with a pocket in the wall to generate the openings of the windows. And of course, there will be other 3D detailing like the internal structure walls, the vertical openings in the slab, the stairs, etc. This is the end for this step.
Thank you, Bertrand. The next use case is when the construction drawing package needs to be delivered or drafted in 2D formats like DWG. This can happen when there is a core group of designers that work in 3D and then have a drafting group that supports the conversion of this design into a set of 2D construction drawings. It also happens if you have subcontractors that might not be invested in the same BIM tools. So let's go ahead and take a look at first, how do we take and get information out of 3D, and then let's go ahead and finish off those drawings in 2D. Bertrand?
Now I have finished detailing the second story, and this level of detail is enough to be shared to my colleague working on the 2D layouting on this level. So I simply create a 2D top view, and from the building I save it in database and export in the XF format. All this in fact is a very simple operation, but there is a real value in it. In a construction project, there are plenty of reasons why 2D and 3D might become desynchronized. And for example, on this model, on the very early design stage, the ramp of the parking was designed with a corner instead of an arc of circle, like I'm showing here. So it's important to reconcile 2D drawings inside a 3D environment. And to make sure the reconciliation will work, the best is to start by a common reference drawing. And this is exactly the purpose of this DXF that I'm sharing to all the 2D planners with the message, let's all work with the same reference drawing. Now, Raymond, it's to you.
Thank you, Bertrand. So here we're at the tail end of this one drawing for the floor, and what we're going to be doing is adding a couple dimensions to this wall to locate the center of this doorway. So I'm using Smart Dimension. It allows me to pick 2 points, and it can give me a horizontal, vertical, or aligned option. We're going to choose aligned, then I'm going to use the Continue Dimension command just to pick a third point and drop that last dimension in there. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add a north arrow into this. I'm going to use Design Resources inside of Draftsight in order to go grab a lot of my common libraries and blocks. So here I've got all my arrow blocks already up. I'm just going to find the one that I want to use for this drawing, drag and drop it over, and place it. So you'll notice that north is going straight up on our screen. But when we go to look at the drawing and we're getting this ready to print, we want to actually orientate the building so it's a much easier view to read. So what I'm going to do is go into the viewport, and I'm going to use UCS entity. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick that entity, and then I can go plan view, and it will orientate this view so it's a better visual. So when I print this drawing, it will be easier to read. You can kind of see the north arrow pointing in that direction. Another great example of reusing the same building sections would be when they need to be sent out and coordinated with other disciplines. This is common for MEP, interior designers, or even post-construction, as is documentation for the building ownership group. Let's see an example of that. In this example, we've gotten back the file from the interior designer. The file that we sent them was the outline and the grid that was used from the export. And what they've sent us, and I'm going to show this as different layer states, is they've sent us some interior walls, they've sent us some overview for the furniture and some of the cube space, and additionally, if we turn on everything, a lot of their design has attributes into them. And these attributes act as a common data source. So it's almost like in a database that's inside a Draftsight. To show that, as we double click on one of these cubicle designs, you'll notice that we have blocks that are referencing other blocks in a bill material type format. Each one of these blocks also have attributes. And we would use that information to decide what the final ordering count and cost is going to be. So now that we have all this data that we've got from our vendor, let's see what we can do with it. The last use case that we're going to discuss today is how to take the externally developed data and merge it back into the 3D model. From a building coordination perspective, it's important to be able to bring in all the design data to the 3D BIM model in order to determine issues and clashes. Bertrand, would you like to show us how to do that?
Thank you, Raymond. Now we are back on CATIA, and I'm going to show how to reintegrate your drawing in 3D. The purpose, of course, here is to display the drawing information as close as possible to the 3D context. And this is why I'm not putting the drawing on the Z0 plan, but I made a plan close to the level 2 and I display the drawing on it. So what we can see on the screen now is exactly the lines coming from the drawing, And if I want, I can hide it behind the solid elements with this option here. I can also use lines and profiles from this drawing and reuse it to build 3D geometry. So it's really able to solve the coordination issue between all the 2D drawings. Visually, of course, because they are all displayed together, so it's easy to take a decision to fix issues. And also, it's able to update the information from the drawing to build a new reference drawing to be shared again. So it's really about collecting everyone's work, consolidating information, and redistributing again information to everyone. I hope this little scenario gave you ideas on how to collaborate between 2D and 3D, and I hope you will find inspiration. I wish everyone a good working environment, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Bertrand, for joining me today. Your help was definitely appreciated. So that concludes really our presentation. And the only last thing to discuss is really what's next? Where do you go from here? So at 3 Experience World, we have over 17 Draftsight sessions, so you still have time to watch a few. If you've missed any, we'll be able to go back and experience them as the recordings will be up soon. The last session of the day is our Draftsight meetup. This is where you can join us for a live Q&A. And of course, we have a swim community for our breakout sessions, so you can post questions there as well. In addition, Draftsight has its own swim community, and you can get to that by going to swim.3es.com, and then you can see the Draftsight in the list, and you can also search on that as well. That's where I'm going to be hanging out, so if you have any questions, please drop them in there, and I will be more than happy to address them. A few other learning sites would be draftsight.com and 2dcad.com. It's great to get installation guides and kind of admin guides. Our YouTube channel, the Draftsight YouTube channel, has a learning journey that is a great place for beginners. So if you're new to Draftsight, I would highly recommend you start directly there. And we get a lot of questions that are basic help related questions. And so I wanted to point out that you can go to the help system. It's a little question mark up in the top right. And that's a great place to start if you have an immediate need. Again, thanks for joining us today, and I hope you got something out of this session. Join me on our swim community and touch base. Thank you.